So in today's video, we're going to be replacing the door handles, front and the rear, on a first gen CRV. I'm going to try to keep this video somewhat short and simple. So starting off with the tools you're going to need, ratchet with a 10 millimeter on an extension, 10 mil box end wrench, preferably ratcheting. Ratcheting is definitely going to be your best friend for that rear handle. Little set of needle nose pliers or a flathead screwdriver would work as well. I'll show you guys when you'll need that. We have a Phillips head screwdriver as well as a very small flathead, or a pick would work as well. Again, I'll show you guys when you'll need that. Isn't required, but I'm gonna go ahead and mask off when I pop the door handle out. Mask around the outside of the door handle, just so when the door handle is moving around when I'm taking it off, it's not scratching the surrounding paint on the door. Anyways, with all the tools, let's go ahead and start with the front door. So starting off, we're gonna come up here to the mirror, and this guy is just gonna pop out just like so. So this is just held in by two little clips there. So we got that popped out. Next, we're gonna have to take this guy off. Obviously that is just a Phillips head right there. A little screw out and just pop that back a little bit. That'll pull a little insert out. There we go. Next we have the door handle here. So it's held in by one screw back there. You're gonna slide it over to the left. You'll hear it kind of want to pop out there. And now you have a little retaining clip right there on that lock rod. Now for this, we'll get our little tiny screwdriver in. It's possible to get it with your finger as well as like some other bigger screwdrivers. But you just want to work that. I don't know if you can see that. Work it right over the rod. And then, sorry for the camera work here, but you just want to pull that rod up out of where it's sitting. There we go. So you can see it just slides down in there and the clip retains it in. Only thing you'll have now is just the connector right here that you just press down on the frontmost side of this clip and it'll pop out. I just got to use two hands, maybe not. There we go. Yeah, so like I said, just the frontmost of the clip, and then that'll push that retaining clip down. Now we have our door handle out. Before we get started on the 3 screws right here, I'm actually going to come down to the speaker grill since I have the little pick in hand. Again, normal flathead should just be able to pop this right off. There we go. Speaker grill is off, and you're going to have, should be 3, however I'm missing one up here. So 3 Phillips heads, right here, and right here. So go ahead and remove those guys. Got those screws out, and then we have 1, 2, 3 up here on the actual door handle. Go ahead and just take those out. Those are just going to be 3 Phillips head screws. Now, once you have those out, that out, all right, you can come down here, get a grip on the door card, and kind of pop the bottom out. There we go. So you see it's swinging on the bottom here. Now the last thing you'll have to do is unplug the speaker from the door, which if you have stock speakers, it'll be plugged in directly to the speaker. In this case, I have little adapters, but you can see there's 2 tabs on the back end on the car side. Just press those in and pull the connector out, and your speaker should be disconnected. So once you confirm that that is disconnected and all the retainers are popped out, you should be able to swing out the rear or the bottom a little bit and simply just pull up. There we go. Now I guess this is going to be more preference than anything. If you want to go ahead and just end up ripping this entire thing out, you can. Me personally, I'm just gonna keep it here. So in that case, I don't want to tear it up too much. So what I'm gonna do is first undo the handle mount here, just 2 Phillips head screws, and then that'll keep it held up on this side, so I don't necessarily need it held up by this plastic thing. So I'll just tear it off the corner there, and I'll kind of just swing it out of the way here. So let me do that real fast. Like I said, you don't really need it. I believe it's just to help keep the temperature retained in the car, as well as like help some road noise. But 100%, if you want to rip that out, go ahead. But let me get this swung out of the way, and then we'll cut back to the next step here. So we have the plastic swung out of the way here. Now, in here, you'll see, so we have one 10 millimeter right there, and then we have another through this hole right here. You see it right there, the gold 10 mil. Now, what I'm gonna do first is, I guess people like to connect the they like to disconnect the lock rod here, how we kind of did the interior door handle. Personally, I'm just gonna go in and remove this little E-clip. Kind of find it easier. From there, you should be able to just pull out this whole thing. So you see the whole thing will just slide back and off. And since you shot the E-clip out of the out of there, it should always catch at the bottom of the door card, unless if it like flies out one of these holes. So I guess watch your eyes if it does that. But we got our E-clip there. For right now, I'm just gonna keep it down there just so it doesn't get lost. But now that we have this disconnected, we can go ahead and undo our 2 10 mil bolts, which thankfully a simple extension in 10 mil will get the front door handle off. So let me get these bolts out real fast. So now that we have our 2 bolts out, as well as our lock cylinder rod disconnected there, we can actually come around to the front here. Like I said, this isn't obviously required, but if you do want to try to prevent some scratching on your paint, I'd recommend just some painter's tape on the surround. You can tuck it in there and get good coverage. But essentially, we should be able to pull this out a little bit. There we go. So you see the front side will pull out a little bit, and then for the rear, you're actually just going to want to slide it forwards. So try to do this with one hand. There we go. So you see the whole thing slides forwards, and now we should be able to somewhat finesse this thing out. There we go. So you see there. Oh, maybe we weren't able to see. You kind of have to like finesse it out. So now that we have it finessed out, you actually have to disconnect it from the handle, like unlock rod here. Now this handle is a pain in the rear end to get off of this thing, to the point where I actually just disassemble the handle from the actual white piece here. Now obviously if the little white piece is broken on yours, you're gonna have to get this sucker off. Good luck to you. You can finesse some screwdrivers in there and kind of get it pried open to get it out. But I'll show you guys. Usually this is in in one piece. I'll show you guys how to just disassemble the handle, night part, just so you don't have to fight this. I mean, this is it's gonna piss you off. But first, before we do that, let's get the lock cylinder out of here. So for the lock cylinder, this is where you're gonna want the tiny screwdriver or little pick. You can see there's a little retaining like C-clip there that you can actually come out from the underneath this groove here. You put it in there and essentially just pry it out. So it'll pry out, and make sure you're like cupping your hand underneath, or because this thing will go flying. So just make sure you do not lose that unless if you have a replacement. So let me get this out with 2 hands, and I'll kind of show you guys what it'll look like and whatnot. There we go. So that's the clip right there, and like I said, that just goes up through this slot and clips in and just retains the lock cylinder. So now that you have that out, you can see without the retaining clip, the lock cylinder and the bracket here will just slide right on out. So Now we have just the door handle, and we just have to disconnect it from the white part there. Now Honda has this very annoying 3-piece like retaining design or something on these pins. So essentially this white thing is just held in by a little push pin. You see it right there, pushes through, and then it's split on the end to keep it in place. Can't really see it well on camera here, but Honda has it split in 3 spots. So compared to most aftermarket ones like this one here, you can see right there it's got 2, so you can just pinch those 2 together and push it out. With Honda, you have to push 3 in at the same time, which I don't even know how you're supposed to do that, because one's going to be like on the bottom somehow. And then, anyways, long story short, I end up just breaking this. So usually the little needle nose here, you can kind of go in and just literally destroy it. I mean, if you're replacing the door handle, you have a replacement pin. I don't think there's any replacement door handle that doesn't come with the pin. But go ahead and break that and slide that out of there, and that will let you release this whole door handle from the white piece here. But let me go ahead and break it real quick, and then I'll show you the door handle coming off. There we go. So we got the pin out just like I said, and then you'll feel it. It'll just simply just slide right off. There we go. That is our old door handle off. Let's get the new one on. So before we toss the lock cylinder back on, it's going to be easier to throw the white part back on here. So obviously I'll have to take the one that's on here already off and then put that on there. So let me go ahead and make sure not to break this clip here. Like I said, super good design with the 2 prong instead of the 3. Just pinch them together with the needle nose and it'll pop right out on you. So let me go ahead and take that off so we can toss it on the car. There we go. So it went in very simple. You're going to want to get the spring seated in first and then bring up the thing and slide it into the handle. If you do it the other way around, it's going to be more tricky. So bring it back, seat the spring on the handle first, and then slide it in. If I had a tripod, I would show you guys, but very simple. Should go in nice and smooth. Now that we have that push pin in, we can actually get the plate as well as the lock cylinder back on this door handle, and then I'll show you guys exactly where to put that C-clip. And just like you took the C-clip off, right here through this coin slot, sits right in those grooves. So now we can start finessing this whole bracket back into the door. Make sure the little lock rod or whatever is out of the way. You don't want that like sandwiched in the door and the bracket. So we're gonna kind of get this thing sideways here. Bring it back. There we go. There we go. Should be good to push backwards into the spot. I might need 2 hands for this, but let me try. Yeah, let me get 2 hands on this thing. But once you have that bracket actually behind the door, you should be able to line it up just like so and push it back in a spot. Exactly reverse on how you pulled it out. Okay, so now that we have it seated in the door, we can come back around here and actually start putting the bolts. Let's see if I get my hand up here. There we go. And start putting those 10 mil bolts back into the door handle. Sometimes little rubber grommets might affect like how it goes in there. Like it might not put the bolt in, so you might have to like kind of work it in with a socket with some like pressure on the back end. Yeah, so this one's doing it. So if you try to thread it lightly, it won't. You're gonna have to put some pressure on the back end to kind of get it past that little rubber bushing. So all we need now is to put our little clip back on here, and super easy. So you see the slots right there, just align with the slots like that. Come down, grab our clip here, see it here. I like to put it in from the top, just like that, and then with it in from the top, we can get a screwdriver in through here. I recommend just a little bit of a bigger flathead screwdriver. Just gonna come in from that hole there, and it should, make sure you're pressing on just the E-clip, should pop right into place and clip in there. And essentially we should be done with the installation here. You'll just have to go back and throw the door card on. I'm not gonna do that simply just because the steps are literally the same, just in reverse. Plus I'm going to have to do another thing with the door card off here. So now we're actually just gonna go ahead and move to the back door here. So for the rear door card, this is gonna be really simple. So same deal as the front. You have a screw here on the door handle. Pop it to the left again. Same little clip there. And just like the front, we're gonna get our little screwdriver up in there. It's hard to do with one hand. There we go. Again, same as the front. We're gonna go ahead and pull it up out of there. There we go. Got our clip. Remember, frontmost side of the clip, push down, pull out. There is our door handle there. Now we can come down to the cup holder, pop that down, and you have a Phillips head right here behind the cup holder. Once that is out, you have the same 3 screws on the rear handle. So we're going to take those 3 out, and it should be ready to pop out from the bottom and take off. So you can see the first bolt, very, very accessible. However, the second one is way, way back there. You can see it right there. Now, I don't know if you might be able to access it by actually removing the lock here. So instead of actually finessing your hand back there on the back one, it is indeed way easier to take this off. So it's literally just 3 Phillips head screws back here. Pop the 2 rods that hold in here out, and you'll be able to kind of just get this down up out of the way. And you can see you can just run the extension right in there and get the bolt. So real quick, I'm gonna have to use 2 hands to keep this pushed down while I get the extension in there, but 10 billion times easier. Okay, so we have the handle out, and I guess this actually gives us a lot more room to mess with the actuator, whatever, actually disconnected from the door there. Gives us a ton of room here. Although, I guess technically, you could just unthread this. So you could just start spinning the door handle, unthread it off the rod, and then thread the new one on. I'd like to keep the same adjustment that is on here. So I'm just going to do the same exact thing that I did with the front handle here. We're just going to break the clip right there. You can kind of see it better than the first one. So you see the clip, how it's 3 prongs. There's no way in hell that I'm pressing all 3 down at the same time. So same thing. We are going to take our needle nose here. Just go ahead and go crazy, end up breaking all the prongs so we can just slide it out with ease from this side here. Same thing, just build the new handle around the old whatever you'd want to call this. Now that we have the handle on, we're just going to do the same thing where we get it mounted up here, and then keeping that held down, we'll get our bolts realigned with the handle here and bolt it back down. And then once you have the door handle re-bolted up, go ahead and screw this back on. Make sure you do have the little lock knob on the outside here. I know mine just ended up catching the lip of this. So make sure that's out before you tighten these. Then we can go back up here, push these rods back in their respective clips, just like so. And that should be it for this handle here. Go ahead and make sure it works. There we go. Looks like I may have, I guess, accidentally locked it whenever we were doing the installation here. Anyways, that's gonna wrap it up. Just drop a comment if you guys have any questions. I think I went through it pretty detailed. Probably would have been a longer video if I had like a tripod to help me out on some of the parts where I needed 2 hands. But yeah, if you guys have any questions on anything, drop a comment. I'll try to get to them. But that's gonna wrap it up for this video.